I don't even want to listen
record
to
it.
that much.
I recorded it on my own. It is me going, hello, my name is Kate Wilkinson from Sheboygan, New York. I'm here to talk about 127 hours. This podcast subsequently also goes for 127 hours. The first hour, he rode his bicycle. And it goes like that for 127 hours. I hope that's okay.
If you haven't guessed what next week's episode is about, there's a little hint and there's a test. If you've listened to this episode, you'll be able to guess our shitting bricks charade for next week too.
So true. So true. You can also cut all of that out and we can use it for next week. Actually, that'll work for the video for next week. I'll just do my best Sheboygan, New York accent.
Yeah. See if you can recreate that majesty, that beautiful.
That's exactly right.
No, I thought you were going to say you were going to read every word in the dictionary, because that would probably take around 127
that's an episode.
hours.
When we get to episode 500 and we've run out of ideas, we can do it.
Well, funny that you mentioned that, because guess what episode number this is?
What episode?
27.
27. Oh, shit. Well, if we were thinking about it, we could have flipped them. But
no,
it doesn't matter.
Hindsight. Right. It's an ugly thing. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Dom. How are you?
I'm fabulous, as usual.
As usual.
How are you?
Oh, I'm so well. I'm really pleased about the magic of editing. We talk some serious garbage pre and post pod, and which keep your peepers peeled, because we're gonna have a Patreon really soon. And I'm excited about that. I know it's coming, it's happening, it's going to be there. And I genuinely think that our pre-rambles and post-rambles are sometimes the funniest parts. We try not to undersell our podcast, but we will put some of those up on our Patreon. So if you want to know what Dom and I were laughing about, you just have to bloody wait and see and cough up the cash.
The cashola, the coin.
Shishi.
Yes, I'm very excited for that to happen. It's about time, and we can buy new things like some new microphones and
lighting. There's an issue with that. Also, if you're on our socials, you'll know exactly what is wrong with my lighting. Oh God.
Well, let's jump into it. Before we get into the actual story for this week, we've got to do our BooPod network shout out.
Oh, yeah.
That's my job this week. And this one I'm particularly excited to talk about, because as soon as they joined BooPod, I was like, oh my God, why weren't they a part of our lives earlier? So this week I'm featuring the Haunted Housewives podcast. Yeah, classic.
Oh,
they've got great
every
art.
White man's nightmare. Haunted Housewife. Woo!
Do you know what? I would probably watch that as a TV show instead of Housewives of
fucking everywhere. Sheboygan.
Yeah, Sheboygan. I swear to God, I can't believe that's television. But no, back to Haunted Housewives podcast. Yes. Sarah and Tara are like, I've said this about other podcasts, but again, they're so similar to us in the sense that they literally just talk a bunch of shit, and they've got the most beautiful little high-pitched voices. I hope that I'm not coming for them or it's not a read. They just have such beautiful and just instantly funny voices, but they do really interesting stories, a lot like what we do. So, we might do the classics, but they'll come out and do some really like random things, like the giggling granny is one of the episodes, or the candy lady, or they did one on Bonnie and Clyde, which I just think is really amazing as well. And then they'll do some of the main stories like Slender Man and so on. But highly recommend going and checking them out. They are hilarious. Their episodes are about as long as ours, an hour to an hour and a half sometimes. And they're really sweet. They're really funny. So we're going to play their promo for you now. Boop, bada boop. Oh my gosh, wasn't that just amazing, Kate?
That was so good.
The magic of editing.
Great. The magic of editing, the magic of radio. Welcome.
And welcome, Sarah and Tara, to the BrewPod Network. So happy to have you and connect with all of you. And your fans are awesome as well. Go check out their socials as well. So.
Here's a question for you. You know, like Benefa and like Brangelina, what would Sarah and Tara's couple name be? Tara or Sarah?
To Sarah.
To Sarah.
Etc.
Etc.
Yeah.
Amazing. For some reason that popped into my head, but I thought that was funny. So that is, again, not a read. Love you guys. We do.
You have a think, Kate. What would our power couple?
Oh, that's a great question.
Be? I dare you to dream.
I know what I'll be focusing on this episode.
So yeah, don't listen to me. Okay, story time, because this one isn't too long, but there's a lot to it. But I want to set the context a little bit.
That's okay. I'm not worried about the I was just about to say, I'm not worried about the length. It's about
the girth.
About the quality.
Size does matter.
Holy moly. No, I am excited. I'm really super stoked for this story. I love, again, we always say, but this was another one I don't know of. And I learn so much doing this, which is half of the fun of this podcast. I genuinely have so many dinner table conversations now based on our episodes. It's killer. So you go for it.
And you can too, listeners. Now you've got a bunch of stuff that you can share at the dinner table too. But some context about this week's episode. So obviously by now people would have figured out it's called Death Island. And I did not plan to originally do this story. This is something that I honestly just stumbled across when I was vegging out on the couch going, I just want to watch something really stupid before I go to bed. And when I mean stupid, I mean something that's like a mystery or a crime or a horror or something like that. That's what I watch to wind down.
Perfect.
So I was on Stan and I saw this advertisement for Death on the Beach, which that's going to be our pop culture reference for the week.
Amazing.
We'll put a link on Mondays so you can all, see the advertisement for it. But I click on it and I'm like, okay, what's this about? And the first thing that pops up is the Island of Kho Tao in Thailand. Now, why is that relevant? You may ask.
Oh my God, I did ask that.
Well, the reason why I'm sharing all of this contextual stuff first is because I'm about to go to Thailand in about a week's time. It's my first holiday. I've talked about it a few times now in our episodes, but I'm about to go away for the first time in 3 years and I'm just so pumped. And guess what? I'm going to the island of Kho Tao.
No.
AKA Death fucking Island. So it was meant to be, Kate. So I didn't watch it straight away. I was like, okay, what's this about? And I did a bunch of research and immediately went, I have to do this as an episode because, folks, as you're listening, I'm probably on a ferry on my way to Kho Tao in real time as we speak.
IRL.
Yes. So this is like our first in-person sort of story setting type thing, Kate, which is really cool.
I'm so excited. We're finally traveling. We're taking it worldwide.
Yes, our first tour is in Thailand.
This is amazing. I can't wait. Which, for a lot of Aussies can be a first place that you go.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I can't believe that I'm about to go to this island. I watched the show as well, Death on the Beach. You can watch it on Stan as well.
You should watch it on the plane.
Yeah, I will rewatch it. No,
This is a real thrill.
I've scared the fucking shit out of myself, Kate. Just putting that out there. I can't believe that I'm actually going here. And I thought I've got to tell this story. So anyway, folks, I'm going to get into it. But let's hope that I survive my 3-4 days on Death Island in person.
I really hope so.
Yeah. Otherwise, this is probably one of the last episodes that I'm ever going to record. Okay.
Sorry. Before you start, can I just really quickly check something? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion my audio is coming through here, not through my microphone. I'm just going to really quickly check that. So I'm just going to pause my audio on my thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to check. I'm so sorry. Because I turned my stupid fucking computer off. I'm so sorry. All right, I'm going to stop that. And I
can vape, which...
You can.
That's so, it's so disruptive to the...
Do you know what? It is. Fuck. Can I just change it mid-thing? I mean, I've got all that audio saved, but it will just maybe sound a bit shitty.
No, that's fine.
Oh, hang on. I might be able to just... How do I just jump to the end? I've never done it. I've never paused like mid-thing before. Okay, go to the end. Don't select anything. Go to the end. Hang on one sec. I fixed it.
So it's recording where it picked up off from?
I'm back. I'm back and better than ever, baby. Oh, yeah, that first audio is going to sound pretty garbage. What a time to be alive. I am sorry, but I'm glad I got that before you started your story. Because all that other stuff is just shit. Okay. Hi, Dominic.
Okay, let's get back into it, shall we?
Please, let's do it.
Okay, so name of the episode, Death Island, or otherwise known as Kho Tao, is in Thailand. Now, I got most of my information from the show Death on the Beach, a great article called on strangeoutdoors.com. And the title of the article is True Crime in the Outdoors. And then obviously, gotta love Wikipedia. So anyway.
I do. I really do.
Let's get into it. Now, on the 15th of September 2014, the bodies of Hannah Witheridge and David Miller were found on Sari Beach on the island of Kho Tao between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m., a few hours after their deaths. Now, both victims had been hit several times on the head. Witheridge had been raped and Miller had been drowned.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm jumping straight in. We're not...
You're good. Let's go for it. Water's warm, baby. Yeah. Let's get in. Cannonball!
Yeah. So the police investigation and criminal trial were widely criticised by international media, human rights organisations and legal experts. 2 weeks later, 2 illegal Burmese migrant workers were blamed for the deaths primarily on the basis of DNA evidence and confessed, supposedly, following an hours-long interrogation. The suspects were initially denied access to legal counsel and alleged that police used torture and threats to secure a confession. Pathologists and legal experts criticised the police for mishandling the evidence, allowing contamination of the crime scene, our favourite, and failing to use experts to collect forensic evidence. Now, in 2015, in the month of December, the pair were convicted of the murder and sentenced to death. If you don't know, Thailand is pretty cutthroat when it comes to crime, especially drugs. We know a lot about that in Australia. Attempts to appeal the sentence failed, but a royal decree was issued by King, and there's like about 20 letters in this name, but I'm going to give it a crack.
Give it, please do.
King Vajiralongkorn. Vajiralongkorn. In 2020, commuting the death sentences to just life imprisonment. Okay, so what the fuck actually happened?
Can I make a suggestion on a straw poll? Would you prefer death penalty or life in prison?
If I was the criminal,
you would assume you were the criminal if this is on the table for you. This isn't just like a random citizen. Yeah. If you're the criminal, so you've done it. You've 100% done it. Like someone's offering you life in prison or death penalty.
Yeah, even if I have or even if I hadn't done it, I'd still do life imprisonment because I'd want to fight it as much as I possibly could.
Got you. There's a
chance. I feel like I'm a good person and I would want to repent and prove and get back out. Like life's too bloody precious. I wouldn't want to give up on it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I get you. And plus, I mean, you can see all those stories. People get ripped when they're in prison. Like you just be at the gym, working on your fitness every day.
Yeah. I could get a husband. I'd get really thin eyebrows.
I like prison Dom. Prison Dom's cute. Not that regular Dom isn't cute, but prison Dom sounds really cute.
I would totally make prison wine as well. Okay.
Sorry to sidetrack you. Let's get,
Totally.
let's get back. So what happened? What happened to these people?
So the government of Thailand was concerned the murders might affect tourism to the island. Now, this island is fucking stunning. I can't put into words. There's a reason why I'm going there, and it's really well known for diving. And we'll share photos, but yeah, they were seriously concerned. Tourism is such a big part of Thailand's economy. There was a drop in arrivals in the months following the murders. However, the event did not really materially affect tourism to the island over the following years. Hey, I'm fucking going there. So
totally, you're off. You're there right now as people are listening to this.
Exactly. It's not like it was on the brochure. You might not want to come here. It's Death Island.
Yeah.
Spelling mistake. Mistype. Deborah accidentally put that instead of
Deborah. Come on, Deb. Get your bloody shit sorted.
All right, a little bit more about the island of Kho Tao. It is located in southern Thailand. Think of Thailand as almost like a really weak letter C, sort of that sort of shape. It's got a really bulbous head at the top, and then it's sort of almost like an inverted Italy. And then there's a bunch of little islands on either side of the mainland. But the island of Kho Tao itself measures only 21 square kilometers or 8 square miles in area. So it's quite small.
Yeah.
Very little. You're going to have to zoom in on Google Maps to find it. It is the smallest of 3 popular tourist islands in the Gulf of Thailand. Receiving 500,000 visitors each year, Kho Tao is especially popular with backpackers and is known for its marine life and scuba diving. It has over 100 hotels and resorts and was deemed the busiest diving centre in Southeast Asia in 2014. That's when this story takes place. In 2014, the island had a population of around 5,000 locals, and Burmese migrant workers made up an additional 5,000. Around 2,000 of those migrant workers are illegal immigrants who bribe local police by paying just 500 baht each month. Ooh. But that's a shit ton of money to them. It's not maybe to us, but to the locals it is, especially how little they get paid.
Yeah.
Now, these illegal workers often reside with friends on the island, making it difficult to identify them. There's no record of these people. Some of these workers said they can earn money in Thailand compared to Myanmar, and the murders were the first cases of homicide on the island in over 8 years.
Oh, that's sad. They had a good record. Do you reckon someone had like the whiteboard and they had to scratch out the 8 and put a 0? Number of years since last death.
Well, you have no idea how this story is going to unfold because there's some twists and some turns.
Do I have to keep the whiteboard out?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, Hannah and David, let's a little bit more about them.
Yep.
The victims, Hannah was 23 and David was 24. They're both from the UK. Both were students who were backpacking in Thailand. Witheridge had completed an undergraduate study in education at the University of East Anglia and had started postgraduate studies in speech and language therapy at the University of Essex. Miller had just completed his undergrad in civil and structural engineering in the University of Leeds and was starting a master's degree. Now, he was traveling to Southeast Asia with a friend after completing a 6-week work placement in Australia. Yeah, mate.
Australia. G'day, mate.
Get a couple of these VBs into you. And, classic, he was working with a mining company.
Oh, of course.
But he arrived in Thailand in August. So they didn't know each other. They arrived separately. Witheridge was traveling with 3 other friends, and Miller was with 2 others. And the 2 met in Kho Tao while staying at the same hotel. Guess which motherfucking hotel I'm staying at?
Sheraton.
The same hotel that they were staying at. So,
was that on purpose?
No, Kate.
You're
which
kidding.
Is what even freakier than fuck.
I thought it would have been on purpose because obviously you watched the Death Beach show and the thing, and then Kane's organizing all these amazing things, and
the receipts
damn,
are booked, Kate. Like, it's intense.
That is so cool, but creepy.
Creepy. So, the murder. What actually happened? Now, Miller and Witheridge were last seen at a bar called the AC Bar with friends at a party on Sunday night with around 50 people, mostly foreign tourists, before they left together at 1 a.m. Their bodies were discovered on Sari Beach, which is the main beach, a few hours later between 4 and 5 a.m. So 1 to 4 or 5 a.m. there's, a window of something happening. Now, they were discovered by a mute Burmese beach cleaner. I don't know why they needed to go into that detail, but okay, interesting.
Okay.
Miller's body was found floating in the water and Witheridge's was on the beach. The bodies lay approximately 20 meters apart and 30 meters away from their hotel.
Oh.
I've got the name, but I'm not going to mention it.
Okay.
All right.
As in the name of the hotel?
Yeah.
Oh, are you going to go there?
Yeah, I'm staying there.
Oh, of course, that one. Yeah. But are you going to go to like where their bodies were?
Yeah, if the AC bar was, I'll give you an idea of what I am and am not going to do at the end of the story because I've learned a lot about this.
I'm so excited.
Now, very nearby the bodies was a bloody hoe, as in the gardening instrument, Kate, not the colloquial name that my friends call me.
That's just like a greeting.
Yeah. Hey, you bloody hoe.
Hey, you bloody hoe.
Now, it's believed to be the murder weapon, and there was also a wooden club which were found near the bodies, along with 3 cigarette tips and a used condom.
Oh, yuck.
Both bodies were found semi-naked. A pile of clothes was found nearby as well. Now, the police moved the bodies to prevent them from being swept up in the rising tide, which is logical, but it really does. It's a challenge for, forensic evidence.
Yeah.
Local residents, not the police, but local residents blocked the pier to prevent the unidentified killers from leaving the island.
Okay.
So it's a good little, what's her name that writes the mystery books?
Agatha Christie.
Yeah, Agatha Christie type thing, stuck on an island, whodunit, little man with a mustache, Poirot needs to rock up.
Let's get Poirot in here. Let's lock everybody in the beach. Let's go to the AC bar, have a time. We'll just wait for Frenchie to turn up and see what happens.
Grab another bucket. Now, an autopsy revealed that both victims were hit by a hard object resulting in head and face wounds. Miller had scratches on his back and water in his lungs, indicating drowning. Witheridge's body indicated she had been raped. Obviously, I mentioned that. There was tearing present at the vulva, bruising on the perineum, and a bite mark on her right nipple. So it's it's obviously quite a violent. I know rape is inherently violent, but the details. It's quite interesting that sort of stuff was at least captured on the autopsy.
Yep.
Now, DNA was also collected from these 3 areas and sent to a police forensics lab for analysis. However, her clothes were never tested for DNA.
Why? Great question.
Look, it was quite interesting in the television show, and they didn't do it in the article, but in this TV series, it's really interesting to hear from some of the police that were on the island, some of the senior investigators that were there at the time, what their reason, excuses, and what their process was in doing this, and then hearing the medical professionals, and then hearing some journalists going and finding out what the truth really was. It's so many inconsistencies on what one body of people are saying versus the other. So it's really hard to get down to the facts about this one.
Down to brass tacks.
So the investigation. Now, due to concerns the murders might affect foreign tourism in Thailand, the national authorities sought to expedite the investigation into the murders, which sounds great, but, that never really works.
It doesn't. I've seen that movies.
Now, the police was under pressure to produce results quickly, which affected how they conducted the investigation. The police initially speculated about who the culprit might be, alleging various individuals of perpetrating the crime without clear evidence, which was definitely supported in the television show. They focused on foreign nationals first, with a spokesperson for the police claiming Thais wouldn't do this. Some migrants who were questioned complained that officers scolded them with boiling water during interrogations. And allegations which were denied by the police, obviously.
Yeah.
After initially failing to find a match to one of the migrant workers, the police focused their attention on Western tourists related to the victims. They highlighted a British tourist who had shared a room with Miller as a suspect, labeling it a crime of passion. He became the subject of a nationwide manhunt before the police quickly dropped the lead. So it was all just for nothing.
Just fluff. Nada.
Several other suspects were also named amid pressure to produce results, a new one every other day. Over 200 individuals on the island, many of them migrant workers, were tested in a mass DNA testing.
Okay.
Which, you know what, I'm actually all for. There's been stories that I've heard and we've both listened to where they get stuck in an investigation and they just do shot in the dark testing of DNA to hopefully match. And, sometimes it can work, but definitely is a desperate move. Now, according to the prosecution in the subsequent case, CCTV footage analysed by the police showed 3 individuals riding a motorcycle to a 7-Eleven where they bought beer and cigarettes before going towards Sari Beach. Footage near the crime scene also showed one of the 3 men running into a shortcut. One of the men, Mau Mau, resided nearby. Now, 2 weeks after the bodies were found on the 1st of October 2014, police interrogated Mau Mau, who said he took the motorcycle and separated from the other 2 men before the murders had occurred and found them both asleep by the time he had returned. Police entered the home the next day. Only one of the men, Zhao Ling, was present. Following an interrogation during which police say Zhao Ling admitted he had entered the country illegally, Zhao Ling was arrested and his clothes and motorcycle were seized as evidence. The second man, Wao Foy, was believed to have left the island by boat the previous night.
Oh, sus.
He was found hiding on the boat later on the 2nd of October, so the day after. Both men were 22-year-old illegal migrant workers from Rakhine, Myanmar, who worked in the hospitality industry, and they had no prior criminal records.
Okay.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Now, during an hours-long interrogation during which the police used Burmese food vendors as interpreters because the pair could not speak Thai, the suspects then confessed to the murders.
Oh, did they though?
Mm.
Because I'm flipping tacos and interpreting and not really my job. I'm just like, yeah, this guy said he did a murder. Can I go back to work?
Yeah. Not, and you have to understand that even just the dynamics between a country where there are so many illegal workers who are afraid, hiding, and they're just trying to make ends meet. I can't describe to you the level of sort of poverty that some people live in here and what they have to do to survive, right?
Yeah.
Now, they stated they were driven by a desire to rape the victim following sexual arousal when they saw the couple kissing on the beach. The police said the suspect's DNA matched a sample of semen taken from Witheridge's body and to the hoe and cigarette butts found near the body. Early police reports said Miller's mobile phone was also found in Zhao Ling's home, although the media had previously reported the phone was handed to police by a friend of the victim.
Another sus.
In the trial, the prosecution said the phone was found smashed at the home of a friend of Zhao Ling's. The police then forced the suspects to reenact the murder in front of media, a move which was obviously condemned by legal experts.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Leading the witness, leading the media, that's a bit dumb.
Yeah. Now, Zhao Ling and Wei Foy retracted their statements following a visit from a consular lawyer from Myanmar and said they had made their statements under duress after they had allegedly been beaten, left naked in a freezing room, and threatened with electrocution and an extrajudicial killing. The National Police Chief, Somyot Phumpanamaung, denied that torture was involved in the confessions. Of course they do.
Of course they do.
Thailand's National Human Rights Commission attempted to investigate the allegations, but police representatives did not appear at 4 of the scheduled meetings.
Ugh.
A defense team from Bangkok, composed of nearly 20 lawyers, were only permitted half an hour to meet with the men. A request by the defense was to delay the hearing and allow more time to prepare, and that was denied by a judge.
That's not, yeah, there's so many like red flags here.
Right?
Yeah,
already. It's not necessarily whether they did or didn't do it. It's about that sense of fair trial and
that's right.
All that stuff.
The judiciary process.
Oh, well done, Kate.
Is that a word?
You did it. You smashed that.
Yes.
Now, a 900-page police report was produced to guide the prosecution's case, but the defense were not even allowed to see the report until the trial began.
What do you mean? That's not.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. I'm not even a lawyer, but I've seen loads of The Good Wife, and I know pretty much how it works. So,
yeah, you know, it's just, how are you supposed to get a proper defense if you don't even know what's being presented?
Yeah.
Public prosecutors initially rejected the report, asking for certain flaws to be fixed, more information to be supplied, and for the report to be made more succinct. In December 2014, the suspects were each indicted on 5 charges: premeditated murder, killing to conceal a criminal offence, rape, illegal entry into Thailand, and staying in the country without permission. Wai Phoi was also charged with stealing. Trial and conviction. Now, an 18-day trial began on the 8th of July 2015 in the Koh Samui Provincial Court. So Koh Samui is a slightly larger island, which is a little bit further south from Kho Tao. According to an observer, the sittings lasted over 10 hours each day. The suspects were defended pro bono by 2 lawyers from the Lawyers' Council of Thailand. The trial was attended by external observers, including representatives from Amnesty International and the UK's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. So they're allowed to observe, not participate.
They can watch, but not do anything, really.
Yeah.
But do they write do they write a report about it, going we observed this thing and this was fucking sus as? Okay, that seems futile, but okay.
Direct quotations from the trial are unavailable, as the judges did not permit the public to take any notes. The decision was criticised by the Solicitors International Human Rights Group, one of the observers at the trial. So
there's no transcripts or anything.
No.
Not like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, where you could just watch it on YouTube live and see what happens. These guys got totally screwed.
Trust the states to turn something like that into a bloody ratings thing. It's just...
Oh, I know.
Piss off. You don't need to know, all right?
Yeah.
The prosecution's case focused on findings of the police and medical examiner, with an emphasis on the DNA evidence. They argued that the defendants intended to kill Miller using a hoe to hit him multiple times on the head. The hoe was then used to knock Witheridge unconscious, after which the defendants used force to hold her down and took turns raping her before killing her with the hoe. There were no known eyewitnesses to the murders.
Oh.
Now, the defense claimed that the investigation was flawed due to mishandling of forensic evidence. Just remember that.
Yes.
Lack of legal representation during interrogations, use of threats and intimidation to secure a confession, and intimidation of witnesses. They argued that the defendants, since they were vulnerable as illegal migrant workers, were scapegoated by the police for the crime. You know, Thais don't do this.
Yeah, exactly.
The defense provided a separate explanation for the events on the night. It was said the pair went swimming on the same beach earlier that night, and when they got out of the water, they found their clothes had disappeared. After unsuccessfully trying to find their possessions, they walked towards Mau Mau's house through the shortcut, which resulted in them being caught on CCTV. They said Wai Phoi found the mobile phone dropped on the beach, and so he kept it. Ostensibly, Wai Phoi changed jobs at the end of September and was travelling by boat to Surat Thani for his new job on the day he was arrested. That was the reason why he was fleeing the
classic.
The defense struggled to find members of the public willing to testify at the trial, as many feared retribution. Hence, their alibi was not considered convincing by the court. Now, on July 10th, the court ordered the DNA to be retested. Police revealed that the samples from Witheridge's body were used up, and they were unable to provide DNA samples from the murder weapon.
So they've got really nothing then.
Yeah. Well, they had the initial testing, but this was...
Oh, okay, cool. This is later.
They asked to get it retested. The defense asked to get it retested, and lo and behold, there's none left. We can't do it.
Oh, soz.
Yeah.
All dried up.
But just remember that part about the evidence, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Police revealed, no, I told you that. The head of the country's Central Institute of Forensic Science found that the DNA on the hoe did not match the defendants.
Okay.
The prosecution also claimed the defendants entered the country in violation of the Immigration Act of 1979. Zhao Lin was said to have entered between 2011 and 2012, and Wao Foi in 2012. Both entered through the Ranong province, allegedly without presenting themselves at a port of entry and without possessing a passport. They pled not guilty to the charge at the trial, but Wao Foi changed his plea to guilty during the proceedings. Now, several CCTV cameras near the crime scene were reported to be non-functional, and cameras near the pier were not checked by the police at all.
Why? That makes sense. It's the pier. Like, they were on the beach. Like, what's the go? I love that. It's always, every single episode of Law and Order when they're just like, hey, you got any cameras? Oh, they're not working. Yeah. None of them work. Nobody's cameras ever work when there's a moida.
Yeah. Now, the DNA analysis in the case, which was not subject to independent oversight or verification, was provided to the court as a one-page summary with 4 supporting pages, some of it handwritten with amendments.
Post-it notes and white out.
Here you go. That's incredible.
Moly. Yeah.
Now, Jane Taupin, an Australian forensic scientist brought in by the defence, claimed that the timeline of DNA extraction was dubious. A rapid analysis of DNA samples had happened in less than 12 hours, which she said was unusual because extracting DNA from mixed samples was difficult and very time-consuming. Taupin was ultimately not allowed to testify by the defence, and these issues were not raised by the defence until their closing statement.
Classic. So they're just like, hey, come be a scientist and do your science, and then she does it, and they go, we don't like that science, so actually never mind. Bye.
Well, I think it was more that the defence wanted her to be able to testify. That's why they got her in, but they got rejected. So they made the strategic decision to go, well, what good is it us? We can't even link, or we can't even mention this because we can't bring in anyone to
testify for it. Yeah.
And we're just going to sound like that we are making excuses. So it's quite a common thing. They just leave it at the end to raise questions in people's minds at the very end.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Media reports speculated that was because of the defence was wary of calling on forensic experts, fearing it could appear as undermining the Thai justice system. Okay, on the 24th of December 2015, Zhao Ling and Wei Fao were found guilty of murdering Witheridge and Miller by the 3 judges and were sentenced to death. The conviction was primarily guided by the DNA evidence, which we know is shaky as shit.
Yeah, at best.
And the court said it did not consider their confessions in making the judgment. So they say that they didn't,
They did, though. They definitely did. Yeah. I don't know. I think they did.
Now, Wao Foi was also convicted of theft for allegedly stealing a phone and sunglasses from Miller's body. They were both also charged with entering the country illegally, to which Wao Foi had already confessed. Zhao Lin was not convicted of this charge because he held a work permit for the 2 years preceding the murders.
Okay.
A lawyer for the men, Nakhon Kamchakat, said he will appeal as soon as we can. We just need a copy of the court's verdict. It will take a bit of time to find loopholes and to appeal. I love how just blame. We're going to find loopholes, babe. It's going to be something. Especially if fucking Deborah was writing it up.
Fucking Debbie. Get your shit together, Deborah.
Yeah. Did you see what I did there? That was comedic ingenious and timing.
That was wonderful. That was a cute little, that was a callback right there. That was a great little bookend. Fabulous.
Attempts to appeal the sentence to the High Court in 2017 were unsuccessful. The Supreme Court of Thailand upheld the sentence in August 2019, stating that the police handled the case correctly.
Wrong. Get fucked. Put another post-it note over that one. That's false.
And that the forensic evidence was clear, credible, and detailed.
Wrong. No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Now, the death sentences, luckily, were commuted to life imprisonment on the 14th of August 2020 following a royal decree to commemorate King Vajiralongkorn's birthday and illustrate the king's clemency.
Oh, that's your birthday present, Dom. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to kill those random people in prison. They'll just be in there for life. Happy birthday.
How nice am I? Now, the commutation was welcomed by David Miller's family, one of the victims' family.
Okay.
What was the reaction?
Oh, I would love to know. Please tell. You're going to tell me? Please tell me. Don't end the episode there. Okay.
So obviously the investigation was met with criticism, as I said. Amnesty International stated that Thailand must initiate an independent, effective, and transparent investigation into mounting allegations of torture and other ill treatment by police. They also raised concerns with the absence of legal counsel prior to the confession, as well as difficulties with translation and interpretation. Human Rights Watch said the case was profoundly disturbing and called for the verdict to be reviewed in a transparent and fair appeal process. Thailand's National Human Rights Commission said the circumstances surrounding the arrest of the two Myanmar workers were dubious, leading to impressions the suspects were not aware of their rights and that justice had not been done. So even their own National Human Rights Commission.
Yeah. They're like, we might have not done that the best we could have.
The International Commission of Jurists said the defence must be afforded adequate time and facilities to explore whether the alleged destruction of evidence in this case was appropriate and unavoidable, and to test the prosecution case overall. So the evidence, DNA evidence, supposed DNA evidence was quickly destroyed, so there was no way to retest.
Yeah.
And they were also talking to the fact that they didn't see any of these reports until the day of the trial, which, no one's that good a lawyer.
No. I mean,
maybe
Tom Cruise in Be a Good Man? Nah, he would be cross. He wouldn't do that.
Laura Linney in that David Gale movie. God, that's a good movie.
Oh my God, that's so good. She's great too.
Yeah.
Oh, we got distracted.
Many raised concerns that contamination cast doubt upon the forensic evidence. Officials, journalists, and tourists were seen walking around the crime scene.
Just wandering around picking up shells. Good for you.
And
crime scene.
And the Thai police did not use trained or independent specialists to collect the forensic evidence either.
Oh, so they just picked it up in doggy bags, this will do.
So Porn Tip, Rojanasanan, a Thai forensic scientist, testified at the trial that the crime scene was poorly managed. A British defence lawyer, Felicity Jerry QC, said the trial was far too rushed and unfair to the defence. Experts have considered the forensic investigation to have been incompetent and to have possibly framed the suspects.
Not a framing. They framed them.
Everybody bear with me because this story is about to get fucked up.
I'm ready.
An opinion piece in Bangkok Post wrote that practically no one believes Zhao Lin and Wei Fao really brutally murdered English tourists, adding, in Thai media of all kinds, the consensus is that Win and Zhao Lin are scapegoats. Another commentary in the paper stated that the overwhelming public skepticism stems from the police's long-standing notoriety for arresting poor and powerless scapegoats to save rich criminals who can afford to buy their innocence. Rumours began to circulate with residents on the island saying the island is controlled by a mafia who have information about the culprits and claimed that the police is covering for them.
Oh, okay. This is saucy.
Yes, things are going to change quite drastically soon. Now, the Prime Minister of Thailand, Prat Chan-o-cha, said Witheridge and just foreign female tourists in general thought that our country is beautiful and safe and they can do whatever they want, wear bikinis wherever they like. I'm asking, if they wear bikinis in Thailand, will they be safe? Only if they are not beautiful.
Oh no! You done funked up.
Yeah.
That's so bad. If you are ugly, if you are fucking disgusting to look at, put on all the bikinis you want, babe. and then you'll be safe. But if you are slightly attractive, you'll probably be murdered because you're too pretty and you shouldn't be wearing a bikini. It's your fault. Yes. Oh, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Now, look, if I'm not going to go into the details of it, but for cultural and religious reasons in Thailand, showing skin, knees, certain body parts, all that sort of stuff, it is actually a very sensitive thing.
Absolutely.
Obviously, if you're at the beach, you know, things are different, and it's not in all settings, that sort of stuff. But there is no place in the world for this kind of commentary. And
Absolutely.
This is the Prime Minister.
Because it's not like that. It's not even the, you know, obviously it's the, you know, people think they can come here and just wear all this stuff and, you know, disrespect our culture. Full stop. That totally, understandable. And I do appreciate and get that. But the secondary to that, people think they can come here and wear bikinis, and you can, unless you're really pretty, and you'll get murdered, is basically what he said there. That's, what a thrill. What a kicker.
Yeah. What a gentleman.
What a gentleman. Hey, but he did, is this the same one that stopped the people from being killed for his birthday?
Yes.
Just life in prison?
No, that was the king.
That was the king, sorry. Okay, sorry.
Separate.
Yeah.
Now, he did later apologise for the comment after it was met with backlash.
No shit.
Shock horror. The UK government expressed concerns with the investigation and summoned a Thai diplomat in London to discuss them. Despite not initially being permitted to assist with the investigation, British police observers, including homicide detectives from the Metropolitan Police and forensic experts, they were eventually permitted to enter Thailand to observe the investigation. The team were only allowed to spend 2 hours on Kho Tao and did not meet with the suspects or the defence.
Oh.
Now, their findings were never made public, but were shared with the families of the victims. Prayat said the British and Burmese government representatives were limited to observation and had to respect our processes. So that was the Prime Minister said that.
Okay.
The guilty verdict resulted in widespread protests in Myanmar, obviously. Protesters called the release of the two suspects who they believed were innocent and scapegoated for the crime. The protests angered Thailand's Prime Minister, who believed the demonstrations were a plot instigated to hurt the government. He announced that he had ordered all security-related agencies to track down those who are behind the Myanmar demonstrations. Hacker group Anonymous published a video on the 3rd of January 2016 criticising the verdict. Police and court systems were hacked or taken offline in the following days, and a stash of personal information obtained from the court's servers was posted publicly. Gotta love Anonymous.
Same. Gotta love it.
In 2014, murders, along with other deaths and disappearances of tourists, led to British tabloids labelling Kho Tao as Death Island. A 2016 study said the case, which it described as a litmus test for Thailand's justice system, seriously damaged the image of Thailand and its forces of law and order on the global level. So, you ready for this story to go very, very pear-shaped?
Is it now going more pear-shaped? I thought that was the pear. Were we just at the tip of the pear? Hit me with the pear.
That was Hannah Witheridge and David Miller, the story of 2014.
Okay.
But their story is not the only story, Kate.
How many stories? Why is this? Tell me stories.
I'm going to tell you stories. Now, the main story in Death on the Beach, the TV series I told you about.
Yes.
That was the main story. Starts off with a completely different person that died very mysteriously and in sort of similar-ish kind of, as in terms of the investigation, similar circumstances. So Hannah and David are not the only people to have died on Death Island. So in 2012, a gentleman named Ben Harrington died of a very suspect moped accident. Now, he was there with family, and mopeds, can be dangerous things, but he died very randomly and in really sort of suspicious circumstances, and the investigation and everything that followed was kind of weird and strange, and they were going to cremate his body like the day after that he died, and it took a lot for the family to get that stopped. So Ben Harrington in 2012 Nick Pearson, in 2014, the same year, was found floating in an island bay at the foot of a 50-foot drop by scuba divers in the sea after he disappeared following a night out with his family on New Year's Eve. His body was found at the beach at the Hillside Resort on Kho Tao on the 1st of January 2014. Despite claims of a fall, he had no broken bones. While police ruled out foul play, Nick's family, who say officers did not investigate a single witness, believe he was murdered. Derby coroner Louise Pinder said that there was not enough evidence to say how he died and recorded it as an open verdict. Now, Nick's mother, Tracy Pearson, told Derby and South Derbyshire Coroner's Court in the UK she had a gut feeling there was something foul at play. An inquest had been held in 2014 as his death was being treated as suspicious. Nick's father, Graham, had been the last person to see him when he walked with his son back to where the family was staying. There were no signs he was suicidal. The following morning, the family raised the alarm when Nick failed to answer the door. Pathologist Dr. Michael Biggs told the hearing that there were many injuries on Nick's body, including to the head, limbs, and face. But he said most of these would have been present prior to his death.
Oh, so yep, okay, gotcha.
Although he could not completely rule out the possibility that Nick had been attacked. The coroner concluded that there was not enough evidence to say where or how Nick Pearson met his death.
Mm-hmm.
Hans-Peter Suter in 2014, the same year.
There's so many in 2014.
10 days after he went missing from Sari Beach in Kho Tao, the body of Swiss tourist Hans-Peter Suter, 44, was washed ashore at Talai Nam Beach in Langshan district on the Tuesday, November 18th in 2014. He had been dead about 10 days and had left to go snorkeling alone on November 8th. Suter had been a regular snorkeler and his death was totally unexplained. The autopsy stated he had drowned.
Yeah, well, that's easy to do. I don't think he did.
We're not done. Dimitri Povsey in 2015, a Frenchman, was 29. He was found hanging from the beam of a rented house on the 1st of January. Although both of his hands were tied behind the back, the police said he could have done this himself, as the rope was tied to one hand and a loop was made so the other hand could be inserted.
Okay.
They also found a suicide note at the scene. A woman Dimitri had been interested in said he had called her twice on the phone that night, but she had not picked up because she had been asleep. Friends and family remained suspicious of the police investigation and the insistence that Dimitri committed suicide, especially as his hands were tied behind his back. He had also given no indications before his death that he had suicidal thoughts.
Oh.
And I managed to find, which is kind of disgusting and brutal, and I haven't decided whether we'll share it or not on socials, but there is a photo of his body.
Of his body, okay. Ooh, can you do that thing where it's like a sensitive image number and they have to press it if they want to see it?
I'm pretty sure that's almost done automatically these days.
Oh,
but
okay, that's
anyway, just warning people that might be appearing. So as I mentioned in the show, Death on the Beach, the main first few episodes were around this next victim. And it's really interesting. I'm going to spend a bit of time going into it. But anyway, Christina Annesley in 2015, she was a British woman. She was 23. She was found in a room at the In Touch Resort on the 21st of January. There were no signs of a struggle or rape or other human DNA. She was said to have died of natural causes after mixing antibiotics she was taking for a chest infection with alcohol. However, no toxicology report was conducted and the family has contested the police version of events. Now, why Christina Annesley and Hannah and David's story is so interesting, that they're relatively close together, is that Christina actually was a young student. She was really interested in journalism, and in the TV show, they go into detail about how she was supposedly asking questions about all these mysterious deaths that had happened on the island.
Oh, okay.
And there's a lot of inconsistencies. There was some CCTV footage that was not mentioned in my story that suggested that a young boy, son of one of the mafia crime bosses that live on the island, was actually there on the night that they were killed.
Oh.
There's just lots of really weird things. The evidence was thrown into a bag, like a paper bag, and just left on the backseat of a police car with the clothes from David and Hannah. So of course, DNA was going to be all over the place.
Yeah, they're all just mixing together. They're just wiping all over each other.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You've got to watch the TV show. They go into a lot more detail than I can possibly go into now, but those two cases are very linked, and it's quite interesting. But it uncovers a lot of very dodgy shit that happens on that island, and why it's probably not a good idea that I ask any questions when I'm there. So I will not be doing any
Don't be
digging.
doing that. And don't wear your bikini.
No bikini.
Because you're too pretty, so you'll be murdered. That's what
we're still not done though, Kate.
Oh my gosh. But wait, there's more.
Yeah. Valentina Novozhenova on February 16th, 2015. She was a Russian tourist. She vanished from her hostel on Kho Tao. She had checked into the hostel on February 11th, 5 days prior, and was due to check out on that day, the 16th, but failed to do so. A few days later, staff checked her room to discover her mobile phone, passport, and camera had all been left behind. The last known video footage of the Russian woman showed her walking to Chaloki Hinkau Bay and never coming back. Police concluded she wanted to break a deep diving record at more than 24 meters, and she just didn't survive.
Oh.
Luke Miller, 2016.
Lukey.
British bricklayer was found at the bottom of a swimming pool at the Sunset Bar at Sari Beach on January 6th. His family accused the Thai police of a cover-up. The authorities said he had died after striking the diving board from which he was jumping. Some other reports say he was diving from a DJ booth set up at a party.
Okay.
But somehow drowned and no one noticed.
Yeah.
And there have been suspicious reports of hand-sized bruises found on Luke's shoulders.
Pushed. He was pushed. Sus. Someone needs to get Mariska Hargitay in here. Immediately.
I'm not done. This one's particularly a bit gruesome and interesting. Now, Elise Delamain in 2017 was a Belgian backpacker. She was found hanging from a tree on April 27th. Elise had been traveling around Asia for 2 years, and before her death had been living at a yoga and tantra retreat on Koh Phangan. She was also part of the Satya Sai Baba cult and lived with a self-proclaimed guru. Now, phone records showed that Elise called her mother on Skype on April 17th, 2017, before leaving Koh Phangan on a ferry on the 19th. Investigators had no theory to explain her unexpected stopover on Kho Tao on her way back to the mainland and the capital, Bangkok. Her mother, Michelle, claimed that Elise used a fake name of Elise Dubois to check into the Triple B bungalows next to the My Head Pier on Kho Tao. It's right next to where the boat comes in. An unexplained fire that evening burned down 3 of the bamboo huts, including the one Elise had been staying in. Elise went 1.5 miles through, or 2.5 kilometers, through the jungle to Ternode Bay and took a room at the Poseidon Resort, where she booked another ticket for Bangkok, leaving on the 24th of April. Now, 8 days later, locals living near Ternode Bay found Elise's body after becoming suspicious of a giant lizard that kept on going back and forth into the jungle. They followed the animal and discovered that it had been feeding on Elise's remains.
Snack time.
Which were found among rocks behind the Ternode Family Bay Resort. The body had to be identified using dental records and previous x-rays. Now, controversially, Surat Thani Governor Achuya Inak dismissed as untrue some foreign news reports which claim reptiles had eaten half of Delamain's body. That's like 50 letters long. Pol, I'll call him, was director of the Institute of Forensic Science at Police General Hospital in Bangkok, said there were wounds around the neck due to the hanging and some non-fatal bruises in the head, and no drugs were found in the body. Pol, as acting chief of police in the Region 8, said that the Delamain case, the cause of death was suffocation. There were no signs of fighting or struggle, nor were foreign objects or substances that could cause loss of consciousness found in the body. Posts on social media said that Delamain had booked a ticket to Champon province on the mainland and that her luggage arrived after her death, raising questions of her intentions to take her own life.
Yeah. Why would you send your luggage? Like, why would you?
Yeah.
That's wild.
You wouldn't be bothered, right?
No.
Now, Elisa's mother, Michelle, says she does not believe the Thai police's version of events, and amid fears, authorities are working to suppress speculation about the many murders on the island. We're still going.
Oh, my God.
Bernd Grosch, that's his name, in 2018. Now, his body was found at his home deep in the jungle in the Mai Head part of Kho Tao. He had recently returned to the island after building up a motorbike rental business. He originally moved to the island in the late 1990s, but left in 2016 after becoming frustrated with the corruption and hostility towards foreign business owners. He started another business in neighboring island, Kopayam, before returning in March 2018 to tie up loose ends. Bernd had also recently separated from his wife, a Kho Tao native with whom he had a 7-year-old daughter. And they've been living with her sister, Monica, in Germany. Now, Bernd's family said that the authorities told them he had died of heart failure or had been bitten by a snake. Coincidentally, pictures of Bernd with the snake were to be found online, but they were skeptical that he was fit and healthy at the time of his death. They claim they did not receive an autopsy report and say his body was sent against their wishes to the same Bangkok hospital that carried out botched reports on the bodies of 2 Brits murdered on the same island in 2014.
2014, it's the year. It's the magical year.
Bernd's cousin, Christina, said, "We cannot accept what the Thai authorities on the island are telling us. We are furious that we have not been able to have an approved independent forensic examination." International experts criticised the DNA testing done by the hospital at the time, with claims that samples were tampered with in order to falsely incriminate 2 Burmese workers. Blah, blah, blah. And lucky last, yes, I think this is the last one. Alexander Bushpun in 2018. He was from Bushpun. Bushpun.
Bushpug. Alexander Bushpug.
In 2018, he was from Moldova. He was found dead in the sea off Hardisai Ri on Kho Tao on Tuesday, October 9th. Police recovered the body and took it to neighbouring island of Koh Phangan. They believe he had accidentally drowned and was thought to have been dead for around 12 hours when his body was retrieved. He entered the country on the 26th of September before travelling to the island, where he stayed at the Monsoon Gym and Fight Club. Witnesses said items belonging to the Moldovan were seen in the early hours of Tuesday morning and police were alerted. Aaron Klauklong, a security guard from the Big Blue diving shop, told police he found a mobile phone, clothes, a hotel key, shoes, and ID at the beach at 1:30 a.m. during his beach patrol. The items were still there at 3 a.m. and he called police. There were apparently no signs of robbery or attack in the room at the hotel where Alexander had been staying, and the police quickly closed the inquiry, stating he had drowned whilst swimming.
He's just drowned.
Oh, okay.
So how many is that? How many do I have to put on my whiteboard?
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people since 2012, 10 years that have, granted, not all of these are,
super
necessarily
sussy,
suspicious.
But they sound like it. Oh, Death Island. It lives up to its bloody name.
So, yeah, thanks for going that long with me, Kate, but I could not believe what I was reading.
How much was going on? And you're going there.
I'm there.
You're there. As people are listening to this, you are there.
So please keep me in your thoughts and prayers, because we know how effective they are.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to ask any questions, but and no disrespect to Thailand or the island of Kho Tao. I'm sure it's lovely and everyone is lovely there, but there's some
loads of people write these articles. Absolutely. Well, Dom, I look forward to, fingers crossed, our next episode together.
Oh God, I need a drink after that. That was a long one, but
there was so many dead people.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're having the best time in Thailand as we're listening. Good little happy story to go over and have your holly.
Well, the thing is, the reason why I'm going to Kho Tao is because Kane, my partner, one of my partners, is big into diving.
Amazing.
And we all know that Dominic is super, super afraid of the ocean, but I'm facing my fear, people.
You're going to go?
And I'm going to go diving for 4 days. I'm going to get qualified, and I'm going to wait until I get back to do an episode on probably, my inevitable shark attack and the sea monsters that I find and all the terrible things that happen under the sea.
That sounds amazing.
But I'm doing it because I'm brave.
I love it. You are so brave. Well done. And thank you so much for this story today. Listeners, make sure you go onto our social media things. We love that. We love you. And we're going to see you next week. Well, not see you, but you'll hear us.
Yeah.
Love you all.
Ciao,
Have a great
everybody.
time. Bye. Mwah, mwah.
Oh, Lord.
That is so many dead people.
Like, tell me that is